Hello YouTube, I'm Rocket, and this is part 4 of my Resolute HackTheBox walkthrough. If you want to go check out part 3, you can check the link in the video description below. So what we're trying to do here is we've found the shortest path to becoming a potential administrator on the system, and to do that we need to go and become the Ryan user. And that's what this video is going to be all about. So the first thing that I like to do is go to the C users directory and see if I can access any content in Ryan's directory. So I like to run icackles because that's a command that shows your privileges or access controls for a particular directory. So icackles Ryan, and access is denied. So if I were to say icackles Melanie, we can see that Melody does have full control over her own directory, which makes complete sense. Okay, so at this point, I do like to enumerate the whole system for vulnerabilities using WinPEAS. I can show you where to get it here. So if I look for WinPEAS, change to my browser, you can go to Carlos Polyp's Privilege, Escalation, and Awesome Suite. You can just clone all this. Amazing. So in the previous video, I made a shared directory, so I'm just going to keep using that, and I'm going to copy winpeas.exe to that directory and then run it. So say locate locate WinPEAS. So I want to find executables in this directory. So find all executables. And I like to get the obfuscated ones because in case there is an antivirus, it becomes easier to evade. And let's take the x64 one. Because it is a modern Windows operating system, I expect modern Windows operating systems to normally run as 64-bit. Let's take this one here. Copy this. And copy it right here, and we'll also copy it to the shared directory. Cool. All right, let's go back to Resolute, and let's go back to our music directory. Melanie. Go to music, and then we're going to copy. Well, let's list the shared directory, which is R. Let's copy WinPEAS to here. Great. Now let's execute it. So this is going to enumerate all the system for potential privilege escalation attack vectors. And I like WinPEAS because it colors all the vectors. For example, for something in red, means that we should probably look over it, and if it's green, it means that something's well configured. And we can also get more context like active users or disabled users. But for me this was an interesting lesson because if we remember in the previous video, I tried running get service as a Melanie user, and WinPEAS probably does more system calls just like that underneath the hood. And if you don't have permission, then you're going to get false positives, and we're going to see a lot of false positives here. So let's go up to the top. So Laps is not installed. To me, this is not a false positive, but it's also not a privilege escalation attack vector for now. So we're just going to skip over those. So this is the first false positive. AV information. The script says, hey, there's no AV detected. But the reason why we got no AV detected was because we weren't able to run any commands to enumerate the AV information. So always read the fine print. Let's keep going down. So this is interesting. Some auto logon credentials were found. This could be useful, but in this case, it didn't give us the password. So we can't do much with that. The next thing that is usually interesting is services with spaces and unquoted paths, because you might be able to hijack the service there. But in this case, everything is highlighted as green, and of course here we see no spaces, so this looks fine as well. We will find one that does have spaces, but it is quoted, so VMware Tools, it is quoted, so we cannot go hijack. We can't hijack the vgauth service.exe, and so on and so forth. So nothing there. WinPEAS is highlighting services listing on localhost in red because when you run an nmap scan, you're not gonna end up enumerating services that are only listing locally. But this is just DNS, which is probably the same as the public DNS that we found with nmap in part 1 of this video series. And then you get a bunch of ephemeral ports, which also are not very interesting. They're normally RPC related, but nothing that you can really abuse. Firewall is disabled. To me, in this case, it's definitely a warning, but it is HackTheBox. So if the firewall were enabled, then we probably wouldn't be able to even get onto the host in the first place. And here is the last false positive. So looking for common SAM and system backups. Those are always good to look for, but if I were to run the iCackles command on this, I get access is denied. If I try iCackles on this, you can probably guess that I'll also get access denied. Cool. So we found nothing just using WinPEAS alone. So what does that leave us with? What kind of directories do we have access to as a Melanie user? So here I like to recursively search for directories that I have permissions to. So let's check here. The public directory seems promising. So I like to run GCI. GCI is an alias for the PowerShell get child item. I'll say public. And then REC is shorthand for recurse. And access is denied. So if I were to run the get child item recursively on Melanie, I will get results. All right, now let's try that on Ryan's directory. We also don't have permission there. So this leaves us with enumerating the whole system. So here we need to take a step back and think what kind of group was Ryan part of, and it turns out that he is in fact a DNS admin. And he's also a contractor, so I'm pretty confident that Ryan is a technically savvy PowerShell user. And if we think about the Linux world, it is very common for people to just typo or even just type passwords in their command prompt, and then that will get saved into their bash history file. PowerShell can be similar in a way, and if the system has PowerShell transcripts enabled, we can go enumerate those for passwords typed in PowerShell commands. For example, like even when I when I mounted the SMB share in a couple of videos ago, I wrote my password as plain text in PowerShell, so that was possibly logged somewhere. And a sysadmin might make the same mistake. So we're gonna see if Ryan typed his password in any PowerShell history. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna say get child item in the C drive, recurse, and we're going to filter for anything that is transcript related. And then because when you try to traverse directories that you don't have permission to, your logs can fill up with this permission denied logs. So I'm just going to say on the error action, just silently continue. Okay, so we found no results. At this point, you might think, oh, all hope is lost. However, notice if we remember, like in the bash world, the bash history file is a hidden file. Windows also has hidden files. So because we're kind of searching for this obscure content, we need to find hidden files, and by default, the PowerShell get child item command does not search for those hidden files. But if we say force, then we will. And it looks like we have a couple hits. So this looks awfully suspicious. Let's take a look at it. So I'm gonna just dump the contents. Oh, I didn't specify the full path. And if we look in this content, we might find some goodies. So this looks interesting to me. So it looks like Ryan is trying to use a remote SMB share, and he typed his credentials, just as we were hoping for. So I'm gonna take note of this and see if we can't win RM as Ryan. Okay, so let's go back to Privesc, maybe go to loot, and update our credentials file. So we'll say Ryan has this password right here. Okay, let's copy this, and we can log out of Melanie. Instead of saying Melanie, we'll log in as Ryan and give his password. And we're in as Ryan. So that is going to conclude this video here. And in the next video, I will show you how we can escalate our privileges from Ryan to system. See you there.